Welcome to Thriving Moms of Autistics podcast, a free resource for moms raising young autistic children. I am your host, Dr. Christina Wilson. I created Thriving Moms of Autistics after years of experience working with families and having my own autistic child. I coach moms of young autistics one-on-one to tap into their strengths, create a supportive community, set firm boundaries, and raise their autistic child with confidence. Subscribe to the podcast and check out the earlier episodes so you don't miss a thing. Now, let's get to it.
Welcome back to another episode of the Thriving Moms of Autistics podcast. Navigating strong emotions can be really hard. Have you ever been in a situation where emotions were just so strong that they hijacked the situation? I think we've all been there. Everyone's experienced this, and you're not alone. So this is why I encourage you often to show grace to yourself. It's so important. And it's kind of in the back of our minds. We're so focused on the situation. I know it's hard to do. It's not normal. What we tend to do, our go-to, right? So in this episode, we dive into the neurodivergent experience of emotion and how to navigate our emotion when others are impeding on our autism journey negatively, and when we are dealing with big stuff along the way. So find full transcript for this episode on your favorite podcast and share the podcast with other moms to help them grow on their autism journey. And also you can do this by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts because that furthers the reach. And we want to reach a lot of moms because a lot of moms are feeling all by themselves now. I appreciate you. So why is it critical for autism mom to navigate big emotion? Well, all human beings experience emotion, and emotions drive our behavior. So that is why it is so important to regulate emotion. And also we have children struggle with regulating their emotions, right? So we can model that for them. And you might feel that you cannot regulate them because the world is so chaotic. But you actually can. Now, it takes some practice, but you can. And in fact, you'll find that the chaos will lessen when you do regulate those emotions. Now, that is going to take a lot of practice, like I said. So remember, give yourself some grace as you're practicing. Now, for moms of autistics, so much feels like over control. And one of the few things you can control is your emotion. The big emotions are necessary and they're normal. And they have their place. Remember, we all experience them. It's not an isolated thing. And to gain more control, you must identify them and understand them and where they're coming from. Also, you must experience them rather than pushing them down and avoiding them. You can experience big emotions and still regulate them appropriately. You must experience the hard stuff in order to grow. Your emotions are, it's one of those things. The emotion is what it is. But it is what you do with the emotion that changes everything. And regulating that emotion changes the behavior and the outcome. So have you ever heard, Well, they made me mad. And someone replied to them, no, you chose to be mad. That's not entirely true. Okay. Emotions are an experience. Our choices lie in hanging on to them or not. The emotion itself is a very normal experience, but what we do with it is really important and how long we are just holding on to. So, how do moms deal with difficult people effectively so that they don't negatively impact their autism journey? Some people cannot be avoided, unfortunately. They're in your life in some capacity. It might be at work or your family, and you have to deal with. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to just sit around and braid each other's hair, right? No. I had a situation recently where I had one of these encounters, and this person asked me for the millionth time why we cannot do certain things because we parent our child differently to keep them safe. Now, of course, you would say, oh, you do that to keep your child safe. Well, why is it that you can't do what I want? Because basically, doesn't that get old? It does. It is one of those things where they think if you ask enough times, then that person's gonna just give in and do it their way, at the expense of the child and the family. So I graciously explained again, but there will come a day where I will simply say, I've explained this several times. It hasn't changed, nor will it. You can choose to accept it or not. Okay. It's okay to say that. I know we will have to do some point. There's no doubt in my mind. And I have accepted it. I know that I'm not everyone's cup of tea. And I'm fine with. And I still do what I can to respond rationally and respectfully while setting firm boundaries. Because those are ingredients for setting firm boundaries. It's important. You might think that this person deserves to be laid into, especially when they're trying to have conversations in front of your child. And I know that is not helpful, and no good can come out of that. It will only lead to escalation and even more problem. Now, I don't mesh well with this person and have to set boundaries. We have different values and different personalities. That is usually where it comes from. They attack me verbally and get others involved to do the same. And these people exist. You're going to run into them. There's no way to get around that. Chaos is their goal. But moms of autistics don't have time for additional chaos and should avoid it like the plague, if possible, for the sake of themselves and their family. And that's where the boundaries, right? So here's the things that you can do when you're presented with these situations. The first is to acknowledge when you are in these fight or situation and emotions are running high. Even when they poke the mama bear, the bear doesn't have to react, which is what the person's end goal most likely is. The second is to experience the emotion rather than avoiding it. Know that these emotions are normal and you can break this down further. on and grow from it after you deal with this person. And I encourage you to Google the feelings wheel. Okay. It's called the feelings wheel because it is such a great tool for you in this. And it helps you pinpoint the origin of the emotion so you can work through it. The third is to take control of that thought related to that emotion. This is key. So thoughts and emotions are separate. So taking control of the thought related to the emotion. Because if you don't, and you continually replay it on a thought loop, it controls you. Refuse to let it imprison you. You've got bigger things to do, right? Better things to do. Show yourself some grace because when you have this negative emotion, ugly thoughts pop into your head because they will. But it's what you do from that point that is important. That's the human experience. Now, I hope this helped. And remember that you are the ambassador of change in your life. I believe in you. So don't forget to join the free Autism Thrive Tribe for moms of autistics to share experiences with other moms. I have provided a direct link in this episode's transcript to join the community. And you can also find it on the website, thrivingmomsofautistics.com. See you in the community and in the next week's episode as we start the new year.
Thanks for listening to Thriving Moms of Autistics podcast. Be sure to leave a review and tell other moms of autistics about the podcast. Let's support each other. Find the full transcript for this episode at thrivingmomsofautistics.com. And be assured, you are not alone in your journey.